ready. Man, am I loud.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio Podcast. I am Jen, JR Mom, joined as always by JR Dad.
Hi.
How's it going, JR Dad?
Good.
Wow, you're loud.
Yes. I'm really close.
Well, that's good. That's exactly how you should be. Now that we've started couch casting, as you like to say, I never have to tell you to move your face closer to the mic.
I just made that up. Couch casting. Couch cast.
I don't know how you possibly could have come up with it.
I can't even pronounce it.
The cocktail of the week this week is a cocktail that came to me in a dream, apparently. I swear that I was like clicking around on the internet a couple days ago and found a recipe for this. And yet I looked through my history. You know, I Googled it. I literally like searched for the ingredients on Google and there were 0 hits. And I don't know why.
I remember you telling me you'd found this recipe. I guess you dreamt it.
I must have dreamt it. So it is a cranberry ginger French 75. So a normal French 75 is gin, lemon juice, simple syrup, and then you top it with champagne. So it's a very classic cocktail. And so this one basically just, instead of the regular simple syrup, which is just sugar and water, you took cranberries and sliced ginger and put them in with the simple syrup when you were making it. And then that was your drink. I mean, I remember this very clearly. I must have seen a webpage because there was like a lady and she was like making a picture of these and she was like all a little awkward with the camera. Like you could tell she didn't think she was awkward, but she was kind of awkward, like pouring the stuff in. And I don't know, maybe it was a very elaborate dream. But it was like, it's made with Empress gin, which is like the blue gin, and it turns purple when you put lemon juice in it. Anyway, I made it, and it's good. I mean, a French 75 is good. The cranberry and the ginger were extremely subtle. The color was beautiful.
The gin tastes good.
Yeah, it was a good drink. So anyway, that's the cocktail of the week. I mean, you could just make yourself a regular French 75. You'll be fine. You don't need to do the whole boiling thing. All right, dear Dad, we got a lot of dog updates to talk about this week.
There's been activity.
Ugh, there has been so much. All right. Do you want to start with Chief Brody or the banana bread?
Chief Brody.
So Chief Brody had his ear fixed last week, which we talked about on the podcast. And then on Friday night, he managed to completely get his bandage off his head, which he's supposed to wear for like 2 weeks.
He's really good at rubbing his head on the floor or on any surface that he's on and moving the bandage around.
Yeah. I guess that wasn't Friday. So Saturday you took him in for a check and he was fine.
Right.
And they rewrapped his head. And then we like... his good ear there's like a little hole for it to stick out of. And we had like trimmed a little bit to give him more space, which I think loosened the bandage and he managed to get it off on Sunday. And so Monday, I'm like, could I please bring him in? I've been trying to rewrap this damn thing all weekend and he keeps getting it off. So they rewrapped him on Monday and I was like, not doing anything to loosen that. And still by like Monday afternoon, he had pushed it down again. And so he kept pushing it down and like his ear is supposed to be laying flat on the inside, but he'd like move it around as he tried to rub it. And so I'd have to like reach in there and like put his ear flat and pull it back up. We had him in the cone. We had him in the donut. We had him in the cone and the donut at the same time with his head wrapped. I have never seen a more miserable dog in my life.
That poor guy. His face was all squishy and like his eye was half squished closed.
And like all he wanted to do was rub his face and push that thing off. And we're like trying to protect his ear. So it's been very stressful. I felt so bad for him. So last night, you know, I kind of reach in to the bandage and I hold his ear flat on his head and then pull the bandage back up to cover it. And it was fine. And then this morning, you got up a little before me and you took everybody out and you came back in like from the first going out at the beginning of the morning. And you're like, could you please fix his Band-Aid? Because, of course, he gets down on the grass and he's like, this is extremely effective at pushing the thing off my head.
Yes. Look at this friction. Yeah.
So he comes and I'm like, sure, I'll fix it. And the thing is pushed all the way down on his neck. And I go to like hold his ear in place and his entire ear is now like a hot spot, like it's raw and it's like sticky. It's all inflamed and gross. And I'm like, well, this is not okay. Like normally you have a hot spot, you need that thing to breathe, and it's not doing it in the wrapping, but he can't be flapping it around. It needs to be protected. So our vet like squeezed us in this afternoon and was like, all right, well, let's cut this bandage off. So he took it off, and she's like, all right, well, we got to keep it open. So he needs a cap, a thing to keep his ear from flapping around when he shakes his head. And Dad had ordered the vet recommended one, which was supposed to be delivered in the mail today, but it is up in the mainland somewhere still. But Dad, in all of his wisdom, had ordered a little cap from Amazon ahead of time, which the vet actually said was okay, except it's like knit like a sweater. So she's like, it'll be kind of warm.
Right.
But it has panda ears on it.
It does.
And so we got Brody home from the vet, and the kind of special medical cap has not arrived, but we have the panda ear one, which he is wearing. He is so much happier now.
He seems somewhat proud to have these little ears. I think they could also be polar bear ears, as someone has pointed out.
It's possible. The inside of polar bears are not black, right?
They were labeled as panda, but it could be, yeah.
Anyway, he's so much happier. He was just the picture of misery yesterday. I'm sure it was itchy. I'm sure he's like having some traumatic flashbacks to his life before joining the Golden Ratio, where he was itchy and uncomfortable and exiled and in the cone all the time. And that's how he's been for the last week. I'm sure it hurt. So now he just is like, he wants some more dinner again, which is why he's panting, but he's great. He seems so much happier since we got that thing off.
He was so miserable that he forgot to beg for dinner.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Yeah, it was too long in the neck, so he couldn't breathe real well if you adjusted it that way. And if you pulled it the other way, he couldn't see because it went over his eyes. It was just a real struggle.
So he has had a terrible week. We have had a terrible week because, of course, we are in an awful state when he's suffering, and there's nothing we could do. Like, our job is to protect his ear so we don't undo this surgery and he doesn't, end up in pain. But, the poor guy. So whatever his ploy was, I'm going to make Janet pull this thing back up and reposition my ear 10 times a day until I've caused inflammation and verging on a new infection. So they have to take this damn thing off my head. He won. So now he's got the panda ears, and they'll probably have him until Sunday until the new thing shows up.
Diabolical, Brody. Diabolical.
Absolutely not winning low maintenance dog of the week.
No.
High maintenance dog of the week, which is a thing we don't award or reward, but if we did, you would get it, Brody.
You often get it because you're begging and your early dinner insistence, but this is next level.
It's been a tough Brody week
next
for
level.
Sure.
Not that it's all your fault or your idea, but it was high maintenance.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Let's talk about the banana bread. So I tweeted about the banana bread on my running account, but it had kind of leaked over into the Golden Ratio account. So Blue Heaven, our favorite place in the Keys that was dealing with construction issues like we often deal with, they were supposed to be closed for like 6 weeks from September till the middle of October, and they just reopened on Monday. I think we talked about it last week. The poor place. They've been closed for like 3 months trying to get their kitchen renovated, which they'd been planning for like 3 years. So they finally reopened. We literally were the first people to sit down. Like, we showed up, they opened at 5:00. We showed up at 5:00, and there's like a wait list and all these people, and they saw us and they're like, hey, come on in, it's 5:00.
We were the first people seated.
First people seated. So anyway, one of the things that they have there is really good banana bread. Actually, it's the banana bread that, if you've been with us for a while, won boyfriend over. Like, he ate some of the banana bread that I brought back from there. So I was like, I'm going to get a loaf of that banana bread. That stuff's delicious. And they had the loaves. They serve it at breakfast, but I guess they use it for dessert too. So they had some. I bought one. We got home from dinner. I'm like, I cannot wait. I need to have some of that banana bread. So I cut myself a little slab of banana bread out of the loaf. And so like the end of the loaf, I just cut off because I never make it all the way through a loaf. By the time it gets stale, I just don't eat that much of it. So I like cut the end off because that's not the best part. Had my little slab. And then the rest of the loaf is sitting on the counter. So I had taken some butter out. So the butter's on the counter, the saran wrap that the loaf came in, and then the loaf, which was like half in the saran wrap still. And then Dad always cleans up the kitchen. It is a real benefit of life in the household. Like, I go in there and I just take shit out and I leave it around, and then it's all gone the next day because cleans it up.
Well, I get to eat, and I'll happily clean up for that.
So the next morning I get up and I was like, I'm so hungry. You know what I'm going to have? I'm going to have some of that banana bread. And I go into the fridge. There's no banana bread. I look on every shelf, in every drawer. There's no banana bread. And I was like, well, maybe it's like on top of the fridge. Like, it doesn't have to go in the fridge. It's not there. I look in the cabinets. I look in the microwave. Did we hide it in there? It's nowhere. And I'm like, Ingo, I can't find the banana bread anywhere. I looked in the trash. There's no banana bread. Ingo goes and looks through everything. Cannot find the banana bread. So we're like, well, a dog must have eaten it. Like, it is our kitchen is not that big. It is nowhere.
I mean, I was thinking you put it away. You were thinking I put it away. Turns out nobody had put it away.
No. And it wasn't that long between when I had the banana bread and when we went to bed, right? I mean, it was like a couple hours that thing was out there.
And I checked the counter because I put the butter away.
Yeah, the butter had been moved. And so I'm like, well, he must have put the banana bread away, because if a dog took the banana bread, wouldn't they also take the stick of butter? Jared had moved the butter, like, into like a dog non-reachable spot. So the butter had not been eaten, but the banana bread
was already gone when I looked.
So I'm like, okay, well, somebody clearly ate the banana bread, and they ate the plastic wrap, the saran wrap that was around the banana bread. This is how we're going to figure out who ate it, because eventually that saran wrap is going to come out. And so by the forensic analysis, we have determined that Remy ate the banana bread.
It was fun to suspect Guac, though. He really felt a little guilty just in general.
And this is corroborated by Remy's continuous blood glucose monitor, where his blood glucose was about 100 points higher than normal that night.
Yes, so into the next day. That's right.
It did certainly suggest that he had eaten it, but, his blood sugar's not totally stable. So, so for those of you who have been wondering, Remy is the banana bread culprit. And speaking of Remy,
she looked at me like I did it. I didn't tell him to do anything.
No, you're fine. So Remy has been wearing his continuous blood glucose monitor, and he manages to dislodge it all the time. Is that what happened? I don't even remember what happened with like the fourth one. So anyway, it doesn't even matter. This week we went and we got a fifth one. We put him on. I stick it on him. Oh, that's right. One had fallen off, and then you put one on when I was gone, and it didn't work.
Didn't start.
Didn't get it on,
I put
right?
it on wrong. Yeah.
So then, it took a couple days. We get more refills called in. The pharmacy probably thinks we're crazy because we keep getting these things that are supposed to last 2 weeks.
We're addicted to monitoring, to glucose monitors.
So I go get one. I put it on. Like, we use super glue to hold it on him, wrap him up all good, and he's good for like a day and a half. And then he also rolls around, and you just have to, it's got like, it's not even really a needle. There's like a thing that does poke into your skin, but it's kind of flexible. But it needs to be in there correctly. And if you move that monitor just a little bit, it can bend that needle thing, and then it stops transmitting, which happened. So he had it on for like one full day, and then a few hours on either side. So I'm just like, we're done. Like, we have enough data between the 5 monitors that we've put on him.
Ridiculous.
That the vet can analyze it. So Remy, absolutely also not low maintenance dog of the week.
No, he's been fighting our data collection efforts.
Oh my God. Let's see. Voods went to the vet. So Dr. Faith, who is the vet who did the surgery on Parmesan and took his big giant tumor out. And
yes, and also removed the sleeve from Vood.
Yes, and actually did the Brillo pad surgery on Guac.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Oh, wow. She's seen the inside of lots of our dogs.
She has. So she was up at the main vet that we go to for a long time, and then started an emergency clinic, and they had to close, and we have been without an emergency clinic, but we have now found her at another vet's office.
Someone else told us, oh, there's a Dr. Faith.
Yeah, well, I had told her all about Dr. Faith, and she's like, I found your Dr. Faith. And they're also apparently going to reopen an emergency clinic there soon, too, which is pretty great.
Great. thing. That is much better than relying on having to drive to Miami from here.
Yeah. So, and they're like 20 minutes from our house instead of like close to an hour from our house, like our regular vet. So it's all good. We have found her again. So yeah, once our friend from down the street was like, hey, found your Dr. Faith at this clinic. I was like, great. Like we need to be established at both places, right? Because if we have a dog who needs to be seen and like one clinic's full, it's good to have a second, and we love her. And that's where the emergencies are going to be. And so it'll be good to have our dogs on record. Great, great, great. So I'm like, hey, I hear Dr. Faith works there now. Can we come see her? And they're like, how about this afternoon? And I was like, yes, we are there. So Voods, had his TPLO surgery to fix his cruciate ligament in July. And he still isn't really putting weight on his leg. And it's just been hard to tell because, like, you have to do rehab. And it takes about 12 weeks if you guys were doing the Operation Pinto Bean with me on my running account. That's a 12-week project because that's about how long it takes to get better. So that's like all of July, all of August, all of September. And then it's like, well, he kind of didn't do his rehab super well because there were kind of other problems. So like we'll give him into October. He still wasn't getting better. So it's been hard to tell, like, is there another problem going on? Did the surgery just not help him? Like, what the heck is going on? So finally I was like, look, we need to bring him in because like he stands up and he kind of gallops, but he uses both of his back legs together. Both of the back legs kind of give out on him sometimes. We don't know how much is like the epilepsy medicine versus the other stuff.
He had swelling.
Yeah, his knees were still kind of swollen. And that, again, it's like I can even feel that, and I'm not trained in this, but like, is that scar tissue from other stuff? Is it actually swollen? Like, I don't know. So we brought him up to Dr. Faith, and she did some x-rays, and I don't know. There's stuff that looks a little bit weird on that. She's talking to the surgeon, which is great. She also is talking to our neurologist, which is great. And we've actually reduced one of Vood's medicines, and we're trying to get him off of it. It's only been a couple of days. I think he is more alert.
I think so too. I mean, just based on when I drive him around, his head pops up sometimes as opposed to sacking out the whole time.
Yeah. He seems like more engaged and more alert, a little happier. Mm-hmm. And this is a medicine that the neurologist had said, the dose that he's on is lower than the starting dose that we would give a dog his size. I don't really know why he's on it. But this was like right after he'd had the cluster seizure. So obviously you don't want to be taking medicines off then. And she was like, well, let's wait until he goes 2 months without a seizure. And we got like a month and 3.5 weeks. He had a seizure. And so, we waited, but Dr. Faith is like, well, I'll call and talk about it. So they're like, okay, let's try to reduce it. So we're doing that. That's great. She's talking to the surgeon. That's great. But she did an x-ray to see what was going on with his leg. And she's like, come look at these x-rays. So we like go back and look at the x-rays. She's like, there's a foreign object in his colon. And I was like, oh God, like, what is it this time? Because he eats a foreign object like every day, basically.
This is like middle name.
Voodoo, foreign object, Goldbeck Burkhardt. So there's a foreign object in his colons. I'm like, do we have to do anything about that? She's like, no, once it gets there, it's going to come out. So I posted it today. Guess what the foreign object is? I posted the x-rays, and the answer is 3 rocks. 3 rocks from the driveway.
I mean, it could be worse. It could be 5 rocks.
Somebody did guess 5 rocks.
Yes.
A bunch of people guessed AirPods, which is pretty funny.
Oh, that is pretty funny.
I'd be pissed if he ate my AirPods.
That's definitely possible, though.
Yeah.
I mean, and this doesn't include the stuff that doesn't show up on x-rays, right? He's consistently sort of eating cloth things that he can find.
Yeah, he is.
Or bits of toys and stuff. It's a process still with him.
Yeah, it is. So anyway, yeah.
Oh, I was going to talk about the acupuncture experience.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't even put acupuncture on. Oh, no, there it is. I have voodoo acupuncture, and then the thing you're going to talk about. Go for it. So I'll transition us here. One of the things that she recommended both for the epilepsy and for the leg was acupuncture, and she does it. So Giardad took him to his first appointment. Was it Monday? Yeah.
Saturday?
No, I think we saw, was it this Saturday? I think it was Monday. We saw her on Saturday.
Oh, yeah, maybe. It was Monday morning. Yep. We did see her on Saturday.
Yeah. So Monday he goes for his first acupuncture. Dear Dad took him.
Yeah, and Dr. Faith is trained in acupuncture, so she's putting these sort of needles in him. They're all sterile wrapped individually in little plastic pockets, and she's putting them in. She's moving the pockets around, and she like is holding the pockets and like doing something else with her other hand. And Vood starts going, woo, and almost ate the 2 unused needles.
I'm going to eat them.
And both she and the tech were like, wait a minute, he just almost ate those. And I said, yeah, he's sneaky. He's not fast, but he's sneaky.
It's Vood. That's what he does.
But he did it very slowly, just that, so they had plenty of time to actually react. But if they hadn't been paying attention, he'd have probably like had those needles in his mouth.
I also think the acupuncture helped him. One, the acupuncture absolutely had an effect on GR Dad, who thought Voodoo was doing a lot better.
The doctor and I were joking about that the placebo effect only affects humans, so it affects me, not Vood's. Vood's will feel what he feels, yeah.
Vood's got home, and GR Dad's like, oh, I think he's moving around better. And I was like, that looks exactly like he was like 6 hours ago.
I know.
I don't know that he's moving any better, but he definitely is more active, and who knows, and he seems alert and happier and more engaged for sure. So who knows if it's the acupuncture or the medicine or both, but whatever's going on is positive.
Yep.
And I had, we were sort of talking last week that I was like, you can tell he's kind of, he's got brain problems. Maybe it's entirely medical, and if we were able to take him off all the medicine and he wouldn't have the seizures. I mean, if we took him off all that medicine now, he'd go a few hours and have a seizure. But if we were able to stop it, maybe he'd be like a normal-ish dog, a normal weird dog, right?
4-year-old, yeah.
But like engaged and playful and whatever. Maybe.
Right.
Maybe he has, damage from all of these, very serious seizures that he has. But whatever it is, whether it's the medication or brain damage or both of it, he just doesn't engage in a way that a normal dog does. Right. Like he stares off for a while. Like you can tell he's really out of it and can't really connect. And I mean, some of it is definitely the medicine. I don't know if all of it is or not, but it's too bad because he's like clearly like a fun, playful dog on the inside.
Yeah.
And it's just really sad that like we can't connect with that.
The way that you get glimpses and you get short bursts of it, and then he goes back into sort of, he comes outside and he kind of just stands there kind of either thinking or not thinking for like a minute.
Yeah.
And then decides to go somewhere or something. It is hard to tell.
Playful Vood is really fun.
Yeah, and he's young. I mean, he should be a goofy dog. He should be more like Remy. Yeah.
So anyway, that's Vood. Also not low maintenance dog of the week. Not that I mean, that's going to be a hell of a week if Vood's ever wins. Just with all of his miscreanting.
He's
mischief.
I mean, he's the author of Not Vood's Foods. He we had to invent that for him.
Hops has generally been low maintenance until today. And we don't really know what happened. She was fine all day. And then I guess when I was picking up, what was I doing? I guess I had...
Picking up the meds? No.
No, I was with CB at the vet.
Bringing Brody in to get his head unwrapped.
So GR Dad was here with everybody else, and they all went swimming. And it was like, it sounds like pretty mild swimming. Like not, big workout.
No, I think Hops swam out twice to get the ball because Guac got confused because there were 2 balls and didn't follow up. So, but otherwise Hops was kind of just hanging out, watching the activity. It's not like she went, swimming or running anything violent.
Yeah, and so I got home and we'd gotten a package in the mail today from We Write Dogs with the sample of their new snacks with, I should totally remember the name of the company, Just Food. Is it Just Food for Dogs?
Food for Dogs?
The dog food company. Now I got to look at it.
I think it's called Food for Dogs.
Just Food for Dogs is the name of the company. So Just Food for Dogs, which is like the dog food that We Write Dogs has been partnered with for a while. So they have a new Just Food for Dogs / We Write Dogs collab snack, which is dried sweet potatoes. or dehydrated sweet potatoes. So they sent us like a little gift box, and it's got like a sample of the snack, and there's like a portable dog bowl in there. There's a tennis ball. There's a We Rate Dogs calendar, daily tear-off calendar. So it was super nice. And I was like, oh my God, I have to like give the dogs these special snacks that just came. So I'm like giving them out, and I'm like, Hops, come get a snack. And she wouldn't get up.
Which is unusual. Yeah.
I mean,
bad.
Yeah, it's bad. And then she finally did get up, and you could tell that just everything hurt. And I was like, all right, well, did you like work her out like crazy? No, it sounds normal. And then I went up to her, and she was like shaking, and everything was tight, and she was kind of shaking. So I call Dr. Faith at like 4:45 on Wednesday before Thanksgiving. Yeah. They close at 5:00. And I'm like, I'm really sorry, but like, she's shaking. She's clearly in pain. And they're like, let me get Dr. Faith. So she comes on. So Dr. Faith is practicing as like a regular vet, but specializes in emergency medicine. So she knows all of this stuff that dogs come in with. It's so great. So she's like, yeah, it sounds like she just pulled a muscle. She's like, what do you have? Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this? And I was like, I got this, and I got this, and I got this. She's like, okay, give her this much of this and this much of this. She'll be fine. She's like, you can text me if she has a bigger problem, but it doesn't sound like anything serious. I was like, great. So anyway, and now Hop seems fine. Like we gave her some carprofen, which is kind of like Advil, and some gabapentin, and she's back to normal. So she probably just pulled a muscle.
And then felt sorry for herself.
One thing that we've both noticed, like when we got her back after the amputation, so she had the right leg amputated, and that's the side that she likes to lay on with the right side down. And so it's really hard for her to get up, because normally you would push on the right leg and elbow to get yourself back up into a sitting position if you're laying down. And she doesn't have a right arm, leg, and elbow anymore. So she would get stuck like that, and she'd try to use her neck, and it was just it was not good. And we'd flip her over when she'd get like that. And then, after like 5 days, she's like, nope, I have developed like my obliques. And now I can absolutely just with my abs, and you can see like her core, like, yes, the core has pulled her up. So she's developed amazing core strength since her amputation.
Would not recommend as a strategy for anyone else, but she, it is a benefit for her.
Yeah, but it's, you can imagine, you had suggested like maybe she stumbled or something, like her abs have to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
That it would be easy to pull one of those, or something in her neck, or hurt the other leg. Though she wasn't really limping, but she did seem sore.
It's almost like she just cramped up or something. Yeah. Lying down.
But she's fine, but also not low maintenance dog of the week.
If it requires a call to the emergency vet, that's not low maintenance.
You lose the trophy for that.
That's not low maintenance.
Here, I'm just looking through my notes of all the stuff to talk about for the week, and I wrote down Voodoo Kleenex. So this morning I'm sitting on the couch, and I got a Kleenex, and I blew my nose, and Vink is like obsessed with Kleenex as soon as the Kleenex box comes out, and so is Voods. I've posted videos of Voods like with a box of Kleenex, just pulling one out, pull out another one, eating it. So they both like run up to me because I have a Kleenex on my face, and so I just sat there for a minute looking at them, like the Kleenex still on my face, and Voods just reaches his head up and grabbed the Kleenex out of my hand.
Yeah, he doesn't care it's in your hand.
Oh my God. That beeping means I have to check on something in the kitchen, so hang on.
Is it on fire?
No.
Okay.
And we're back. Thanks.
Yep.
So anyway, so that's Foods. The only other dog update I have for this week is that we did weigh-ins this week, and Vink is down to 61. So we really want her at like 59, but she was like 65.
Mm-hmm.
So she's doing good on her weight loss.
Yeah, she does complain. She is. There's a reason she's so excited around food, although she's always been excited around food, but she's more kind of gazing longingly at the counter and things.
But, we have not talked about, Vink has begun to reject the green bean.
Yeah, to totally reject the green bean.
She eats around the green beans all of a sudden.
Yeah, she will like leave some food in her bowl if it's under a green bean at this point. She's like, I'm so done with these damn things.
She's been eating them for years.
I know.
Now she's like, nope.
No.
It was literally one morning. She was like, I'm not eating. She wouldn't eat. And we're like, what's going on? I'm like, I think it's the green beans. And I picked them out and she ate everything.
Yeah. She's like, these are no longer cool. My friends don't think these are cool.
And you try. I don't even give them anymore. You tried it this morning and she just left them. You dumped them all out for guac.
Guac comes over later and is like, I got green beans. I got everything.
So Vink, no longer an eater of green beans. So I'm sure she's hungrier because like the green beans, they got a lot of green beans. Well, so maybe I'll have to get like frozen broccoli or something.
Which we have the freeze dried.
But that's not really filling.
No. So I don't know. Maybe like if you drink water with it rehydrates it.
Oh, we're not going to rehydrate the broccoli.
Not me. Vink in her tongue.
Oh my God, no.
Internally, not externally.
Eating a dehydrated thing is definitely not going to fill you up.
It doesn't work that way.
Fill yourself up more with things with a lot of water.
It's not like eating a sponge.
I mean, if you ate a dry sponge, you'd still be hungry.
And then I drank water.
You'd have to drink the water. But you can't rely on the water in your body to rehydrate it because then
No, you'd have to drink the water. We have to give Vink water after the dehydrated broccoli, and then it'll rehydrate. Maybe? It sounds like it could happen.
Okay, so that's the dog updates for the week.
Anyway, she still loves carrots. That hasn't abated at all.
But they're not as low-cal as the green beans.
No, that's true.
So we need to discuss who is the low maintenance dog of the week and who has the achievement of the week.
Yes, which is not easy when you got these miscreants.
And the achievement cannot be highest maintenance dog of the week.
Right. That's not a good achievement.
No.
Although,
no,
I might make an argument for the achievement of eating a whole loaf of banana bread
not an achievement. No,
as a diabetic and not dying.
No.
Not dying?
No.
Oh.
There's no reward for miscreant behavior.
For not dying?
That's not an achievement.
No, fair enough. All right, too bad.
All right. So it sounds like our low maintenance candidates are Guac and Vink.
Yeah.
They're the only two dogs who were not disqualified.
I mean, Guac hasn't run away this week.
Well, let's start with achievement of the week because you can't win both trophies.
Right. Fair enough. Yeah. Achievement. So, who's achieved anything?
Like nobody has achieved a damn thing. So I guess Vink is a candidate for her weight loss.
That's an objective thing. Yes, she's lost some weight.
I guess Guac has not escaped. We said that Guac is no longer on double secret probation. He's just on regular probation.
Supervised release.
So, indeed. So that could also be considered an achievement.
No, I think absence of miscreantism shouldn't be an achievement. That's baseline.
Yeah, I think that's fair. All right, so then Vink would win achievement of the week for her weight loss, which is pretty good, actually.
That's pretty good, yeah.
And that means Guac, by default, is winner of low maintenance dog of the week because he's the only low maintenance dog left.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, the thing that both of them have in common that makes them slightly higher maintenance is that they bark kind of, I think, a little bit too much.
But Vink always starts it.
Vink starts it. Guac is enthusiastically supportive.
For sure.
And Remy joins in because he can't see what's going on and is just like, this is exciting.
Yeah.
So just a thing, I mean, it is what it is. That's a baseline for those two.
Vink really has a baseline of higher maintenance than usual, but everybody else has been problematic.
Yeah. Guac has been low maintenance. Guac does a good job of trying to play with his brothers, control his, crazy.
Yep.
And he's a little nervous around Remy still.
Yeah, they're still sorting it out.
Because Remy plays more assertively than,
and he's kind of chaotic.
Than Voods. Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Remy is chaotic, yeah.
So that means Vink gets achievement of the week. Guac gets low maintenance dog of the week.
Yep.
And on Twitter on Friday, we will post the poll for the People's Choice Award. So you may pick from the remaining dogs.
Yes.
For who?
The sad remainders. The misfit dogs.
Yeah. The higher maintenance, less achieving dogs of the week.
Yes.
So that'll be Friday, and we just do it on Twitter because you can't. I'm not gonna add up poll numbers across platforms. That's too difficult. So, I think even if you don't have a Twitter account, you may be able to vote on a poll if you just go to twitter.com/thegoldenratio4.
Seems like you should be able to click on those buttons from anywhere.
Yeah. Okay. In other Golden Ratio news for the week, our Twitter super follower status button has like finally been turned on. So if you, a bunch of people have been over on Patreon, almost daily updates, and now you can do it on Twitter instead. It costs exactly the same. The content is the same, just on Twitter. You get to see it on Twitter, and you actually get a little super follow like badge that shows up under your name, which is pretty cool.
That does look pretty cool.
Someone asked, when is GR Dad going to super follow?
Well, I mean, I don't have to. I'm already a Patreon follower.
Wait, are you on the Patreon?
No. I mean,
it wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me if you're on both. You're paying $10 a month.
That's why it's a good joke.
To read your own content. Oh my God.
I'm going to give ourselves money. This is great. I am subsidizing ourselves.
So you all got to see the first post from the GR Dad. Well, if you're on Twitter, the GR Dad Wholesome OnlyFans content has finally come to fruition. I shared it on the Patreon this week, and then when we got the super follow, I was like, hey, you guys, here's what you missed. Like, here's the kind of stuff we're going to be sharing. So I did share it on Twitter, which is GR Dad Explains the RV cover. So you can also, if you're not a Twitter follower, you can just go look at Twitter, scroll down, and you'll be able to see it. But the much waited for GR Dad towel folding tutorial, it's 5.5 minutes. It has been made. It's sitting on my computer waiting to be posted. We're posting one a week. There's like an opening dynamic screen with bumper music. It's great. GR Dad is having a wonderful time making these.
Well, I'm also just so still weirded out by the whole concept that someone is going to watch me fold towels.
So we actually have 2 laundry pieces recorded and produced. I'm in.
If everyone wants to, I'm happy to show it, but it's just bizarre that people want to.
Yeah. Tomorrow, I think we'll record one on the rocks and maybe one on the windows.
Yeah, there's a chance the rocks might get moved next week. Who knows?
Yeah, we better get out there this weekend and do it.
No.
So
maybe.
So yeah, if you want Golden Ratio bonus content between Patreon or Twitter super followers, you can get it. But like I said, it's nothing that we're not changing anything we've done on the regular account. It's just like making bonus stuff in those extra places. So there's a lot of like behind the scenes, like the photos that like the background's not quite right, or it'd be a little too hard to edit it into something like of usual quality.
It doesn't meet your standards.
It does not live up to my standards.
Yes.
But there's really cute pictures. Like we have a lot of really cute pictures we don't post because we can't make them like good enough photos to like live up to what we normally post on Instagram. But like if you're really into the dogs, like you'd like it. So I post a lot of that stuff. A lot of just random little videos of, snippets of the day that it's like, it would be duplicative of the snaps, or it's like a little too inside or whatever. So that stuff goes there. I'm also posting some text updates. So like today when I had CB at the vet, I posted on both platforms, like, poor Siebes, he's all unhappy. He's got this hot spot. We're going to the vet. So they got that kind of update. So I always post on, one of the platforms when there's big updates, but you get like a little more like, hey, we're doing this thing now, kind of live update. So almost every day there's been a post on Patreon, and super followers just started yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Thank you very much. It's really nice to like have an excuse to like make, or have a reason, I guess, a justification to spend more time making this other kind of content, right? Like some of like the background, like, oh, here's some extra pictures, here's all this stuff. Like, yeah, like that's pretty easy to do. But like producing these other little videos, like we love it and we have a great time, but like it adds up to a number of hours a week in addition to the number of hours a week that we already spend on making content. And so it's good to be like, like it's a job, right? Like we're working to make good content, and like we love it and we have a great time. But if it's just like a side project, it's a little harder to justify, like, putting in an extra 6 hours a week on it beyond what we're already doing. But if it's like, here's our little small business that we're running, Like it makes it a little easier, especially. Go ahead.
And it's not necessarily all about the dogs, right? I mean, the update about the RV cover is like had Remy in it, but
there's definitely more GR Mom and Dad content. There's always dogs in those videos,
right?
But there's more of us, because I think the people who are super following want like the real insider view at like life in the household, which includes some us stuff.
Yeah.
And I try to keep us. I mean, I never post pictures of us with the dogs. And we're very rarely even in the snaps other than talking.
Yeah, and you're the better looking one in the relationship. So, hey, if you don't want to post it, then I certainly don't want my face shown.
I don't know that we would put that up for a poll, but
We're not polling on this. I know.
Well, but I'm the scientist who objectively can state that I'm sort of weird shaped, and you're the most attractive person I've seen in the planet.
The fact that you think that's an objective opinion is interesting.
Look, one of us is conventionally attractive, and it's not me.
I disagree. I mean, I agree, but I think it's you.
I'm sorry, Ingo. I've looked at the women that you've dated in the past, and they're all a little bit weird looking.
We can't start looking at exes. You and your glass house are chucking big rocks. I'm sure your old exes have been nothing, no male models.
I mean, I've dated some pretty good looking people.
Yeah.
Not all of them, for sure. And actually, I shouldn't say that about your exes. Like, one, I can't really tell people's faces apart, and two, like, I met your ex-wife once, and she actually seemed like a perfectly attractive, nice-looking woman from what I remember. And I honestly don't know that I've even seen pictures of the other women that you dated, so I just kind of made that up. Anyway.
And I don't think I've seen all your exes, but I saw your high school boyfriend picture.
Oh, well.
You're gonna have
not my finest moment.
To get to an average, you're gonna have to find some some good looking ones.
That was problematic. Jeez. No,
but I don't want to cast any stones either. I'm in a glass house.
So. Now that I'm kind of like thinking through the roster, you're probably right. There were a couple good looking ones in there that I remember better than the others.
Funny how that works.
Like my girlfriend in college was cute. All right. Anyway, why were we talking about that? Oh, I guess one other golden ratio corner thing that I'll add is that I'll announce this on Twitter this week, but there's new merch in the Redbubble store. There's a Yes Hello t-shirt. It says Yes Hello.
Yes, hello, I'm Vink.
It's interesting. The Yes Hello, I am Vink and I'm your whatever, they're among our poorest performing posts. They get way fewer likes than any of our other posts, but I love them. And some people seem to love them.
Yep.
So anyway, there's a shirt now and it says Yes Hello, and then there's also a Golden Ratio swim team, athletic shirt, like property of Golden Ratio swim team.
Yeah. Is it a tank top too with that?
You can get kind of whatever. It's in Redbubble, so it's on 5,000 different products. So those are actually up and live now. I just haven't announced them yet. But if you're interested, if you have a Golden Ratio fan who has everything, now there's new things that they don't have yet.
And for those who watch the snaps, you'll see that the swim team is getting back together.
Yes.
After absences because of the weather, it was real windy and wavy, but also everyone had scars and monitors and
wrappings.
Wrappings. I have to confess, I let inadvertently Brody go swimming while he had
snuck in on both
the
of
headgear. I know, but I was responsible for the dogs, and he had the headgear on and the funnel, and he just kind of dove right
Went in there.
The funnel acted like a funnel.
Yeah, he did
the
it.
Water went towards his head.
He did it for me earlier in the day, and I caught him about 3 inches from the water line, but I had to run in, like in my shoes, run into the water and grab him. And he was so sad because I kind of grabbed him by the scruff of his neck and pulled, because he was like going in, and he had just had it rewrapped.
Yeah.
And he was really unhappy and I think a little freaked out. I mean, I wasn't aggressive or harsh with him, but I had to pull him out of the water, and he didn't like it. And then 2 hours later, GR Dad took him out, and he's like, he's distracted, I'm going in.
Yeah, I saw him coming out like a mermaid, and I was like, oh man, you devil.
Highest.
He waited till I was distracted by like Remy or Voods or someone else that also needs attention, and then Splash.
All of the dogs have figured out that Giardad can be distractible. That's how Guac escapes too.
Well, I think he's like passive aggressive. He gets bored. He's like, nobody's here with me. I'll go to the neighbors, see what they are going to do for me.
Well, Brody basically got put on probation. I was like, Ingo, he did this to me. He did it to you. No one is at fault, but he cannot go out with any other dogs from now on because I was out there alone with him and he just started going towards the water.
Yeah.
And I had to chase him down and grab him, and like my shoes are still salty from having to go in bashooed to get him.
Yeah. No, they're
shod in whatever.
I don't know. That's for horses.
Someone who is a good linguist, please tell me what the BE word is of having shoes on. Beshodden? Bashooed?
Shoed.
No, I went with a BE at the beginning.
Oh, I don't know.
I was bedraggled at the end.
Bipedal.
All right. I think that's all of those updates.
Okay.
I have like backup stuff to talk about, but we'll save that for the next episode. Okay. The taste of the Keys this week is simply that hurricane season ends next Tuesday.
It's the end of November.
It's the end of November. So, yeah, November 30th is the last day of hurricane season. There's a ceremonial burning of the hurricane flags in Key West and Mallory Square. It was kind of canceled last year for COVID. They did burn them, but it was just like, it was live streamed basically. So this year I think they're doing it again. So I actually will be up in Maryland, so I'll miss it. But so that's exciting. We've made it through hurricane season with like a surprisingly calm hurricane season.
Yeah, everyone was predicting, I think, a bad one, and it ended up being quite mild.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there were a few storms that hit the U.S. and there were a lot of named storms, but not many, actually interfering with anything. And I mean, compared to 2020, we had a lot of tropical storms come through in 2020, and one category 1 hurricane when I was out running that one time. It was fine. But this year, I think we had one. I got to put my storm flag up once.
Yeah, but I came down from Maryland for one of them too.
Yeah, but it kind of missed us.
It did.
Right?
Yeah, it ended up I don't think it certainly wasn't a hurricane when it hit here.
No, I don't think you even
got
storm,
or it was
full storm, and the one I put our flags up for, it kind of turned. I think that's the one that hit New Orleans.
Yeah,
I think it skirted under us and turned up. And so it was like windy for a couple of days, but I don't think we even hit tropical storm force.
Yeah,
winds with it
didn't seem. We had a few unnamed, not a system, but we had some real windy days.
Yeah.
That were worse than the tropical storms that hit.
Yeah. So that was a good one. Made it through. So
yeah, it was good.
So now we're in the clear pretty much, and barring some weird like December storm, which does happen sometimes, we're pretty much in the clear from hurricanes until May.
It's good that we're getting a seawall. Maybe, knock on wood.
Hopefully, like it could be as soon as Monday.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. What's the German word of the week?
Eingefleischt.
That means one bemieted.
Yes, it's like meated into.
What does that mean?
It's the equivalent of saying like someone's dyed in the wool. Like if you're a dyed in the wool Republican, or you're a dyed in the wool, Miami Dolphins fan, eingefleischter Fan, or an eingefleischter SPD-Mann, or eingefleischter something. It's like you live and die for something.
Interesting.
So
so much for my suggestion about Thanksgiving themed words.
Yeah, well,
that's okay.
Right.
This is a great word.
Ironically, you can be eingefleischter Vegetarier or eingefleischter Veganer.
Oh, I am an eingefleischter Vegetarier.
Yeah, so it's your bemeated vegetarian.
That is funny.
That's why it's interesting. Yes. Oh yeah, the word for Thanksgiving. I think we've done this before though. The word for Thanksgiving is the equivalent is Ernte Dankfest. It's a harvest festival.
Yeah.
But we don't have Thanksgiving in Germany.
Right.
Or the rest of the world. Canada has
Thanksgiving
a month earlier, and it's not like the same over-marketed, overhyped event.
it's very interesting to me because obviously like we run in very liberal circles where we think about like diversity and inclusion and reckoning with
colonialism.
American history. Well, reckoning with American history, right? And so like there's a kind of tension with like, okay, like the time to sort of stop and reflect on what you're thankful for and like maybe spend time with family and friends and like have a day of sort of feasting and celebration. Like that's a thing that I think a lot of us, I mean, you know, you obviously grew up in a different tradition than me, but like people have happy memories of that. Like that's a positive thing. But like certainly what I did in school where we literally dressed up in pilgrim hats or like feather Indian headdresses.
And you were friends.
And we were friends and we shared this and like all of the terrible bullshit around all of that. Like I think the circles that we run in are like Thanksgiving is really complicated and we're certainly not celebrating that bullshit. And I think we kind of find a way to be like, okay, like this is a day and we reflect on like this very bad stuff in American history and yet also, are able to celebrate like the good things in our life. Like that's a tension that we can sort of deal with. And I forget that doesn't exist in a lot of places. So like literally like we're recording on the couch and we've had the Caps game on and it's actually like still playing on the TV in the background or now it's maybe on recap. And like the announcer at the beginning made, they do kind of like punny introductions and he made some comment about like pilgrims. And I was like, oh no, like that's really like your Thanksgiving thing. And then like their mascot was fucking dressed up in a pilgrim outfit.
Oh, there you go.
Like the hat with the buckle on it.
Oh yeah, that's right. The buckle hat.
Like,
Why is there a buckle on the hat? Does anyone know?
It doesn't matter. Ingo, it's so bad. Like this... The whole being okay with Thanksgiving is not being okay with like pilgrims were friends of the Indians and not like, oh, they began the genocide of like all of the Native Americans. Like I'm just, it reminds me like we really are kind of live in this bubble of people who are very sensitive about these kinds of issues and that's not like the mainstream kind of thing.
Although TikTok, the pockets of TikTok that I'm in.
You're in a real filtered bubble on TikTok.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, well, there you go.
There you go. We'll still be thankful, and you're going to cook a great vegetarian meal tomorrow.
We're going to have cranberries and stuffing and apple pie and mashed potatoes and green beans. I grew up with...
We have extras now because Vink's not eating hers.
I grew up with green bean casserole that was frozen greens beans, cream of mushroom soup, and French fried onions. And I liked it very much as a kid. And I did try making it as an adult, and my tastes have certainly evolved since green bean casserole day. But I found like a gourmet version of green bean casserole. So it's green beans with like a mushroom sauce, and it does have French fried onions. And I'm actually using the French's ones, even though I know how to make my own.
I never had a problem with green bean casserole. It's comfort food. It's good.
I mean, have you had it as an adult, like with Campbell's cream of mushroom soup and some frozen green beans?
Yeah, the canned stuff.
I can't talk to you about like what's good food to eat. Why did I just start doing that?
It's mushy and warm. It was good.
When I mean, that's true. When I paused the podcast to go into the kitchen, J-Dad's like, rosemary and ginger are kind of the same thing.
I didn't say the same. They smell similar. They're not the same thing. No, one's a root. I know that.
No judgment on you for liking traditional green bean casserole. No judgment on that.
I'm not saying it's gourmet food or it's the best thing ever. I just think it's like it probably is nostalgia and it evokes.
I don't like
memories. Fair. I
mean, with the can. So anyway, but this is gonna be like the more sophisticated version. It may suck, but it's like a homemade mushroom sauce and fresh green beans and some fried onions. So
one day I'll tell the story of my dad's first Thanksgiving in America.
I'm positive you have told it.
I have on the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh well, then not today. Then not today.
But you sleuths have to go back through the past episodes. How many episodes do we have now?
100 and some.
I know we're in the 2s.
Oh, 2 some. Yeah. Man. Isn't there something in the wiki though?
I don't think there's a history of like J-Dad's stories.
No, there is a description of some of the stuff though. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah, an interesting thing would be like the YouTube.
It has to be around Thanksgiving, right?
I don't know. Like stuff comes up about just like, your parents' cultural misunderstandings.
Yeah, no, that's
Kevin,
right.
come
That's
here.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube creates the reason that we post the podcast to YouTube is because it makes an automated transcript, which is a pretty good representation. So we have a lot of people who are either deaf or have, can't listen to the podcast well enough to pick up what we're saying or whatever. They can't hear what we're saying on the podcast. And so some of them can sort of hear it and decipher it better with the transcripts. And then for the ones that are completely deaf and not hearing, they can just read the transcript. That's why we post it there. So we have that for all the episodes. I put all the episodes up on YouTube. So we could take those automated transcripts and like post them somewhere. If you really want to escape your family this Thanksgiving, actually don't do that. I have a task for you if you need time away from your family. Or, with your family. This could be a good group activity.
Is this a suggestion or a task?
I'd say it's an assignment.
Oh.
No, that's a little too strong. So Instagram, on my running account, they try out all these different features, and they'll randomly select some more popular accounts and try to get you to do this stuff. And so on my running account, they're like, hey, you've been selected to participate in the Reels bonus challenge. And so for a month, for 30 days, you post Reels and they go into this challenge and you get paid based on the number of views. Up to $1,000 if you get, for me, 1.09 million views. So basically 1.1 million views. I don't know how they calculated that.
That's weird.
I know. It's clearly algorithmic to come 1.09 million. So if I get basically 1.1 million views by December 20th on the Reels that I post on my Jen Runs with Dogs Instagram, I get $1,000 of Facebook's money. And I would like to take as much money from Facebook as possible because they own Instagram. I guess it's Meta now, but whatever. I'm always going to call it
It's Facebook.
So I have been posting kind of a lot of the stuff that's on our TikTok, if you follow us there, just like cute videos of the dogs set to music, some throwback stuff, a lot of stuff from the archives going to come out. So I'm posting like 2 Reels a day on my Jen Runs with Dogs Instagram, and I get paid. I get to take money away from Facebook based on the number of views. So if you want, you could just like set your computer up in the background and click on one and it'll just loop for like 8 hours. That'd be great. That's going to get a bunch of views. Or just like go watch them all a couple times, send them to a few people. It's going to be great.
And keep your computer on what?
And keep
it playing on the background.
But I'm doing pretty good. I get like 25 or 30,000 views per reel, which I think I mean, if you are on Instagram, you're seeing that I'm putting them in the story for the Golden Ratio and myself.
I think only 5,000 to 6,000 of those are mine.
You're doing a great job.
I know.
Just keep doing it.
I try really hard. I'm also ordering T-shirts and calendars.
No, don't do that. God.
And I'm going to be a super follower.
You know what? Go for it.
What's
if
this
makes you happy.
car color namer? He's a super fan.
But yeah, so that's just like my little project. It's not even, I mean, $1,000 is a lot of money, but it's more that like I'm sort of gleeful at the idea of taking money from Facebook.
So they're still pushing Reels. That's sort of what this is, right?
And it's really interesting because like I've taken some of this content is stuff that I've posted on TikTok. I mean, everything I've posted before, I think, is stuff that I've posted on TikTok in the past. So I know how these perform on TikTok.
Yeah.
And they don't perform anything like that on Reels. And also Snapchat has a feature called Spotlight, which is also supposed to be a TikTok competitor. So there's stuff like I have the Manchego first swim video.
Yeah.
Which if you haven't seen it, I've kind of posted it everywhere.
You can tell if your eyes are wet from having cried all day, then you saw it.
Yeah,
that's the
right.
one. That's the one.
So I've got that video. That video got a little over 1 million views on TikTok. It got, right now it has 31,000 views on Instagram, and I posted that video on Spotlight on Snapchat, and I think it got like 200 views.
Yeah.
And it's just that, they're so algorithmically driven on what they show people, and they have entirely different algorithms. And I gotta say, Snapchat, I love you. I use you every day. Instagram, the reason that TikTok is more important than you is that they show you better stuff. Like if I dare go into Reels on Instagram, I see a bunch of mom videos.
Totally.
And good for them. I'm happy they're making content, and I could not give a fucking less of a care than about mom videos. Like, I am not a mom. I don't think kids are cute. Like, I just don't want to see it. Why? You know what I don't see ever on TikTok? I see zero mom videos.
Yeah. Because I'm sure they exist. It's just that they're not targeted to you, and they do this For You page, right? Does a really tailored job. And
it's clearly TikTok cross-posted videos on Reels. Right, it's stuff where it's like it's using trending sounds from TikTok. It's stuff that these moms are posting in both places, but it gets pushed at me on Instagram, and I don't want to see it. And TikTok pushes me a lot of stuff that I want to see, and almost nothing where I'm like, that's terrible. Where on Reels, I'm like, what is this garbage? And the algorithm is just so much better on TikTok.
Yeah,
they're all creepy as fuck. All of these companies. But
the fact that it is an algorithm that's trying to figure out who I am and what I like is already weird.
Yeah. I mean, if they're just using it internally, like, it's fine. But anyway. Look, I mean, this is my job.
Yep. You know too much.
I invented a lot of that stuff in the non-evil way.
Thanks.
Sorry. I know it's all gone way worse than I ever thought it would. All right, now I am rambling about boring stuff, which I accuse you of all the time.
Falsely.
Maybe so. Everybody's like, I think this thing that GR Dad wanted to talk about that GR Mom wouldn't let him talk about is fascinating, and I want to hear him talk about it. So you all spend the $5 a month and I'll put him on.
Yeah, well, there'll be regrets. I mean, it's also, the beauty is always in, because I didn't get to talk about it, everyone's like, oh, it must be super interesting. If I actually talked about it, they'd be like, oh, Jen was right.
Here's what I'm going to do from now on. Like, when you start gearing up like you're going to talk about the windows, I'm going to be like, hang on, everybody. I'm going to let him go talk about this. But if it's boring, like I suspect, we're going to like put that in an outtake and it's going to go in like podcast for the super followers. And then, so you'll just be like, you'll hear me say that. And then you'll hear me say, and we're back. After you've said it. And I'm like, look, that was boring. We're back.
And Ingo is now hoarse.
The last 20 minutes will be available to super followers in a private podcast.
Ingo's tired now because he's been talking for a long time.
Great. I love this idea.
But it was cathartic.
It's a little more editing work for me. But yeah, you get your catharsis then.
Ingo's going to complain about the kids in the back on the lawn for 20
minutes.
Can
complain about the lobster guys being in your backyard.
Don't get me started.
You can go ahead and I'll just cut it out and share it with the super followers who care.
Let me tell you a little bit. I'm just kidding. I'm rehearsing.
And we're back. No. All right, everyone. Well, I hope you have a good weekend. I got to say, some of my best Thanksgivings, I have really good memories of the ones I spent entirely by myself. I mean, with my dogs in my quiet house.
And me?
We have not had any bad Thanksgivings.
We went to Little Palm once.
That was a fucking great Thanksgiving. I forgot that was a Thanksgiving. That's got to be the best one.
I think I can get some credit for that somehow.
That was the best one.
Wow. That's even better than being alone, is having people make everything for you.
Any days that we've spent at Little Palm are the best days. I just had a couple, like in my house in Maryland, where I was like, I am not going to fly all the way to Chicago. Like it was always like, the same nightmare of travel as always, right? Traveling around Thanksgiving. And then I'd kind of be there for a day and then I'd fly back, or, maybe like help decorate a Christmas tree, which is like stuff I enjoyed, but it was like the headache around it was so hard. And so at some point I was like, look, if I'm coming out for Christmas, I'm not going to come out for Thanksgiving. And it just, I remember like the buses didn't really run. Like our house in Maryland is, it's right on the border with DC. So it's pretty urban residential.
Yeah.
There's no buses. Like it's remarkably quiet in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because you don't hear the trucks going by, you don't hear the buses going by.
No rush hour.
Yeah, no rush hour, and so it's really quiet, and like I could just sit in the house by myself and like make myself a dinner, just me and the dogs. It was extremely peaceful, And those were like some really good Thanksgiving. It's just like, I'm really like doing the full, I'm not going to check my email. I'm just going to like, maybe I'll watch some bad TV. I'm going to make myself something really nice for dinner that I want. If I just want to eat pumpkin pie all day, I'll just eat pumpkin pie all day. It was really good. Those are some good Thanksgivings. You're right. The Little Palm one was the best one. But
I happen to be there for that one, so I'm okay with this.
we have had no bad Thanksgivings, I don't think.
Right.
We didn't spend every Thanksgiving together because I think you had some with
my
with
parents.
your daughter.
My parents were there for one, I think.
You
made us a pumpkin. Or you helped make the turkey.
Let's talk about that one.
Oh my God! Can we save it for the show, the TV, the
live show? Who knows if that's ever gonna happen? So
still,
yes, Ingo's parents came one year on Thanksgiving.
Wait, we're not saving it for the live show?
No, we're doing it right now. This is gonna be a long podcast. This is a great story.
Not for me, it ain't.
Ingo's parents came for Thanksgiving, and I was like, I will make a full Thanksgiving dinner, like
including a turkey.
I know how to do this, right? I had made turkey for you before that, so I knew I could make a really good Thanksgiving turkey
stuff,
even though I don't eat it. And obviously, like this is, you guys, certainly not your parents, right? Like don't have the Thanksgiving tradition, but like it's good food. And it's fun to have a feast, and you're here on this day in the U.S., so like let's do it. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna make Thanksgiving dinner. So it's going to be you, your daughter, your parents, and me, and we're going to do it at your house.
Yep.
But your house was not well equipped for cooking. Like your stove only kind of half worked. So I did the full thing. I spent all day Wednesday like prepping stuff. I had the turkey brining. I've got like everything kind of pre-made in dishes, like with foil ready to go in the oven, made the pie. And then I load my car up, right? Like the whole back seat full of stuff, go over to Ingo's house. And I'm like, all right, so like turkey has to go in the oven. Most of the other stuff is pre-made. It just has to go in the oven at the right time. I'm going to make mashed potatoes, but I want to make those fresh. So I boil the potatoes at Ingo's house. You forgot about this part because this isn't even the worst part. It's just funny.
There's a good buildup, though.
So the potatoes are like they have been boiled. They're in the colander, in the sink. Like I've just drained them and I'm getting ready to mash them. And the way that I make potatoes is I cut the potatoes up into chunks. I boil them, drain them, put them back in the pot or in the bowl, and like put in the milk and butter and the salt and smush them up.
Wait, did you say you're going to peel them?
I did not, because I leave the peels on them. And Ingo's mom is like, do you want me to peel these for you? And I was like, no, I make them with the peels on. And she's like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, no, it's really good. Like red potatoes. It's good. The peels go in there.
And she muttered to herself a little bit.
And I walk out of the room and I come back in and she's peeling all the potatoes.
Yeah.
So we had mashed potatoes without any peels, which is fine. It's fine. If they hate peels so much that they're going to ask and I say no, and then they ask again and I say no, and then they peel them anyway, it must be extremely important to them to not have
mashed potatoes
peels.
are so good with the peels. They're
so good with the peels. I know.
Damn it.
But it's fine. So we get the whole thing out and everything, all the food turns out beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
So we ate, I didn't eat any of the turkey, but everybody had turkey at dinner. The entire turkey, which I had bought like this massive turkey so you guys would have leftovers, it was gone by the end of the night because Ingo and his dad just kept like eating turkey, like literally off the carcass.
We can eat.
Yeah.
We can eat. I can really put the pedal to the metal sometimes.
I got like a 30-pound turkey for like 4 people who are going to eat.
Some of it's bone. Some of that
I'm
weight
just saying,
is bone. We didn't eat the bones.
I estimated like I was cooking for several armies and that turkey was still gone by the end of the night, which I take as sign that I made a really good turkey.
It was a really good turkey. It was brined. It was juicy. It was great.
If you've never made a turkey before, which like I never had until I made one for GR Dad, if you follow the Alton Brown turkey recipe to a T, your turkey will turn out perfectly.
I think there were a lot of comments about how usually turkey sucks and it's always dry, and why would anyone eat that? We eat geese in goose in Germany. This
definitely was a discussion.
So
yeah. So let me just be clear. That was a discussion as I was making the turkey for dinner.
It just
about how bad turkey was.
Why would anyone eat turkey?
I can't believe turkeys are terrible. We don't
eat that in Germany.
You're making a turkey. Turkeys are awful, and then everybody fucking loved my turkey.
Yep.
Apologies to the turkey. I I feel bad. But anyway, while we are finally sitting down to eat this brilliantly cooked feast, what happened?
My ex showed up.
She showed up. It just comes in.
Unannounced, uninvited.
Yep.
Although it turns out, I think my mom had some side discussion with her. There's a whole thing there, I think.
Is that true? Your mom invited her over for that?
I don't know if she invited her over, but she may have known she was coming.
Wait, I didn't know this part.
My mom has like conversations with my ex.
Yes, I mean, your mom goes to visit your ex independently of you and independently of your daughter, right? It would be one thing to be like, oh, I want to see your daughter, so I'll go over to her mom's house. Your mom goes there when the daughter's not there, just to visit with your ex.
Yep.
I had no idea that.
I consider it a little disloyal.
I consider it extremely disloyal.
Yeah.
I gotta say, like, when I was obviously married, we've talked about it, and when I got divorced, I mean, my parents were always like kind of dubious of my ex. You know, he was real problematic for the whole time we were married, but we got divorced. They were like, you know, what do you want us to do to him, kind of thing. Like, not exactly that, but they were like, okay, well, he's the enemy now, and that's it. Like, they're.
Didn't they employ him for a long time?
Oh, that was my high school boyfriend.
Okay.
I'm talking about the guy I got divorced from. Yes, my high school boyfriend worked for my parents for a long time, but
that's true.
I mean, I wasn't married to him.
That's right. Your ex was not. They didn't try to keep him in their lives.
No. Like, they were done.
My mom seems to want to keep everyone in. No, it's just weird. Anyway.
Also, I gotta say, kind of awkward for me as the new wife that she's still clearly a real big fan of the ex-wife. Which, like, is her prerogative.
She made an appearance, and she made it a point to make an appearance.
The ex-wife,
and
yes.
There was a whole thing going on there that was not totally innocent or benign.
No, I mean, that was a really clear sign that, like, were we married at the time?
I don't think we were.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we were not, right?
I mean, either way, even if we were married, I was very much made to feel like I was the other woman.
That she was happy to have a relationship with my parents. The whole thing was very performative.
But the kind, like, I felt very much like I did not belong there and was not welcome. And, like, here's a sign that, like, oh, how interesting of you to join in on this family for their Thanksgiving, Jen. Mm. That's very much how that felt. It sucked. Yeah. It was brief. Right, she didn't sit down and, like, have a plate or anything.
Because it was freaking awkward.
It was extremely awkward. Yeah, she didn't sit. I mean, I think she maybe brought flowers. Was that one? Mm-hmm. And she was perfectly polite. Like, she didn't say anything. She wasn't like, oh, like, what is this bitch doing here?
Yeah,
like, she didn't say anything bad.
It wasn't like a movie or a Hallmark thing. Yeah.
Man, was that awkward. I felt so terrible. I may have gone and cried in the bathroom. Like, I spent, like, literally days putting this thing together to, like, have this nice, like let's all get together and, you know, have this kind of festivity together, and then to just, like, have this moment that's like, oh, you don't belong here. Ugh, that sucked. Oh, that was terrible. See, yep. I don't remember that as a bad Thanksgiving because I had entirely blocked it out of my memory.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Which, I mean, I guess maybe it's problematic, but I think it's just a good way of dealing with, like, well, like, there was nothing traumatic about it. Like, I was not harmed in any way. I was just kind of, like, sad and made to feel very, like, other and not part of things. And I think I internalized that lesson that I am not really part of, like, that part of your life. And this is not a lesson from you, right? But just, like, you know, I am not the wife in kind of that view of your family.
But you are now.
I don't know, though. Like, your parents still, or your mom at least, still goes and visits your ex since we've been married.
I don't. She doesn't even tell me because she knows I get pissed.
I mean, Jen, your mom can be friends with anybody she wants, right?
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's disloyal.
You know. Yeah. I mean, I think so. I'm on your side.
Well.
But, yeah. Anyway, you know, it was not like a super traumatic moment in my life. So I think I internalized the lesson of, like, oh, I understand the place I occupy in everyone's mind here and how everyone thinks about me. And then we don't really need to think about this Thanksgiving anymore because, like, that's not helpful. Like, lesson internalized, memories put those off to the side. Anyway, this Thanksgiving is going to be fine. We're just going to hang out at the house with the dogs and
hope no one has to go to the vet.
All the vets are closed, so it will be 6 hours round trip to Miami.
Those won't be open either. So you guys just don't get sick. Would you all?
Please just wait till Friday.
I'm looking at all you knuckleheads. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope this kind of longish podcast tied you over. If you need to escape your family, if they just get to be a little too much, if someone starts talking to you about Bitcoin or...
Oh, my goodness. That would be harmless, right? You don't want to get into politics.
Yeah.
Still.
The Bitcoin people tend to get into politics, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's like, I don't know. Bitcoin just seems like science fiction to me. So it's fun.
Nobody, look, often I'm like, it's at Ingeborg Carter Twitter. Do not come onto our Twitter and tell Jared about Bitcoin. I don't want to hear it. Don't talk to us about NFTs or cryptocurrencies.
We know what it is. We just don't like it.
I know in depth how it works. Probably better than you do.
Yeah.
Nothing personal. I do have a PhD in some of this stuff. And I don't want to hear about it. I don't care. Did
you buy Dogecoin?
I made a bunch of money on Dogecoin. I mean, I did not make like millions of dollars on Dogecoin.
For like a week, you were in Dogecoin.
I was just like playing around on Robinhood and I made some money on Dogecoin. Then I was like, this just like makes me anxious and it's stupid because it's completely fake. And so then I took my money and went somewhere else. I mean, home. Probably bought some running shoes with it. It wasn't that much money. I came out ahead.
One shoe's worth of money. One shoe.
Well, I get a 50% discount because I'm like on the influencer team.
Oh, you're like
so I actually got a full pair.
Power user.
Well, yeah.
On Team Red.
Ultra Team Red. Yeah, I'm like literally like shoe influencer on my running account. So I get 50% off my shoes.
I still think that's awesome, even though the shoes apparently make your butt hurt. So,
it's not the shoes' fault. No, that's something else. Some shoes will make people's butt hurt, but these shoes are not my problem.
These shoes are not those shoes.
These shoes are not those shoes. Someday my butt won't hurt, but today is not that day.
I believe your butt still hurts, by the way.
I know. Someday it'll not. Today's not that day.
Man, I wish I could donate one butt. I think we've talked about this.
I only need the left side.
Okay. Good. You can have my
left side.
We're
rambling. No, we're boring now and go. I appreciate the offer of your butt. This podcast
I think it's just getting interesting.
All right. Well, if you're interested in the following content, I'll save it for the super followers. Go ahead, dear Dad. Tell me about the butt donation.
And we're back.
All right, everybody. Well, have a good weekend. I hope you get to do whatever it is that makes you happy for this weekend. And if you're not in the U.S., it's going to be a normal weekend, and I hope it rocks.
Yeah, that's right. For all our international followers, ignore all the Thanksgiving themed stuff. It's just a little curiosity for you all.
And until next week, don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Bye.
Bye.